Hello and welcome. Today I want to show you how to add suspension to any of your vehicles using Control Rig. To get started, we need to add some plugins. Go to the Plugin tab and find Chaos. We need to enable the Chaos Vehicle plugin. Click Yes, and also we need to add the Skeletal Mesh Editing tool. Click Yes and restart your engine. Now, we need to open the content drawer and find our mesh. I deleted all unnecessary files, so it looks cleaner than it would if you just downloaded assets from our marketplace. Let's start with our mesh, and we need to add some new bones. But before that, we need to show all bones. Click Character, find Bones, and click here. Now, we can see all the bones that we have in this mesh. Click on this button, Editing Tool, find Edit Skeleton, and click the Add button. Now we need to choose our wheel and click on the space. We have our bone, but we need to reset our values for the location and move it into the root bone. How can we mirror it for our second wheel? Go to Edit, find the mirror axis, and then click the Y-axis. Click Mirror. Now we have the same bone but mirrored on the left side. We need to rename it. For the right, I will call it Right Wheel Fake, and for the left, Left Wheel Fake. That's all for our front wheel, but we need to add the rear wheel also. It's completely the same. Click the Add button, add the bone, move it into the correct position, then click Edit and rename it Rear Wheel Fake and move it into the root bone. Now we have all the bones that we need, and click Accept. These are the fake bones for our Chaos Vehicle plugin. Now let's add some Chaos Wheeled Vehicle. Go to the Content drawer, click the right mouse button, find Blueprint class, and find the Wheeled Vehicle pawn. Select it. Call it AH64D. Now we need to open it and find our mesh. Then go to the Vehicle Movement component. Here we need to set up our wheels. Let's add 3 wheels. We need to select our fake wheels' names. Select, find Details, copy, and paste it here. Do the same for all our wheels. Now we need to add wheels. Go to the Content drawer. Click the right mouse button, Blueprint, and find Wheel. Select it. I will call it Back Wheel and Front Wheel. Now we need to open it. Here, we have a simplified version of the details. Let's start with setting up our wheels. From the front wheel, we need to select Front and make it 15. Then you need to go to the back wheel, and here we need to set it to 26. Also, we need to add some suspension, max rise, and drop, so it will be 15 and 15 as well. Here, we need to have 600 and the same 600. Do the same for the front wheel, but for the front wheel, we need to add some steering. So here we need to click True and set it to 35. Compile, save, and then you need to add these wheels here. Go to the content browser, find the front wheel, and the front wheel will be the rear wheel because our rear wheel we can just rotate, but the front wheels we can't. So for the front wheel, it will be back. Compile, save, and for the mesh we need to enable our simple physics. I will add some physical assets also. We just need to select this one and click here. So now we have physics in our blueprint. Now we need to add this to our scene, move it to the center and click Simulate. but it doesn't work. So, let's set up our physics. Go to the physics, and here we have a lot of kinematic bones. We can just go here and find constraints. Select all constraints, and here we need to click here. So it's parent domination. If we simulate it, it will be falling down. But it doesn't affect any of these bones, any of these collisions. It will be affected only on the cog. So now we need to save it, close it, and if we simulate, it works perfectly. But we don't have any suspension. So how can we add our suspension to our blueprint? It's very simple. You just need to go to the content drawer, and here we need to find your mesh. Click the right mouse button and find Create, then create Control Rig. In the new version of Unreal Engine, it works by default. Now we need to open this, compile, and here we have our event graph. But before we need to add some animation blueprint, so we need to select our mesh and click the right mouse button to create a new blueprint. We need to connect this blueprint to our vehicle. Now we have a simplified version of our editor, and here we need to find our animation blueprint. Now we don't need to edit our blueprint itself for this tutorial. We need to edit our control rig and our animation blueprint. So let's start with the animation blueprint. Here we need to edit our class settings. Go to the class settings, find a new instance and select Vehicle Animation Instance. Here we need to find the wheel controller. And we also need to add the control rig. Now we need to add mesh space ref pose and connect it to the wheel controller. Compile, but we have an error because we don't have our control rig selected. So let's select our control rig. Click Compile, and it's done. Now let's set up our control rig. First of all, we need to understand what we want to do. To begin with, we will start with the rear wheel. We just need to copy the rotation of our fake wheel to our mesh wheel, copying from one bone to the other bone. We need to find the parent constraint. Then, open the parent and open the item. Also, open the filter. For this filter, we need only translation and rotation. Connect it and select our fake wheel. If we select it, we can click on this arrow to paste it here and select our wheel itself. We can do it because it will select our fake wheel. How can we see all our bones? We need to find the rig here. Now we can see all our bones inside our mesh. Let's select our wheel and paste it here. For forward rotation, we just need to leave Y and deselect all of this. Now, if we move forward, our wheel will be turning. If we want to turn, if we didn't make the fake wheel, we would have this problem. I will show it on the skeletal mesh. If we steer, it would be steering just with this bone. But how can we do it with this bone? We just need to copy the rotation on the Z value from the fake wheel to this bone. We need to make the same parent constraint. Choose the Z value and disable Y. We need to select this bone and paste it here. Now, we can move forward and steer our vehicle. Then, we need to add some suspension. We need to select this bone and add the aim constraint for our wheel movement. If our wheel goes up, our suspension needs to turn up, like this. So now we need to set up our filters. Here we have the right value. It must be X and Z values for the up axis. For the parent, we need to choose our rear fake wheel. But before, we've already chosen the child of our suspension bone. Click here and paste it. And we need to select our fake wheel. Now we need to connect it and compile. Now if our bone is rotated, we can see this problem. We also need to rotate this bone as well. That is why we have the AIM constraint. It calculates the position from one bone to another bone. Let's copy this. And for our child, we need to find this bone. It's called the rear chasing. Click here, and now for the child, we have this bone. And for our parent, we need to have this bone. When we move our suspension, it will calculate the position of this bone and move this bone like this. Do the same, but on the opposite side. Now, if we click Save and go to the simulation, we can see it works. Also, if we go forward, our wheel is turning. Now let's add some physics to our forward wheels. First of all, we need to add a parent constraint from our fake wheel to our mesh wheel. It's the same process for our rear wheel. We need to copy this function and select our bones. For the child, I need to select the right wheel. And for the parent, it must be our fake wheel. Then we need to connect it here. I want to add some suspension. So how can we do this? Copy the AIM constraint and paste it here. Also, we need to select our right fake wheel here in the parent. Save it, and if we simulate it, we can see that our suspension works perfectly. But also, I want to add some calculation for other bones, like this one. You need to compile it, and then select the AIM constraint, and do the same as we did for the chase for the rear bone. Select it and paste it. Then select this one and paste it in the parent. Do the same, but on the opposite side. Then, we need to do the same work for our left wheel. And that's a wrap. Your Apache now has a fully functioning suspension and is ready for action. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.